Hey folks, this is Fernando doing another video for The Modern Survivalist, and it's gonna be again the topic of Ukraine. I usually try to mix it up so as to keep it more entertaining, but the thing is that given how this is one of the most serious crises in terms of the Cold War in recent years, actually. It just doesn't make sense to talk about anything else. So in case you haven't been following up, which you would have to be living under a rock not to know what's going on, basically Russia took over Crimea in just a matter of days. They just took over the entire Crimea region. They surrounded the military bases of the Ukraine army, and they basically control it, which is on its own what Vladimir Putin was going for. And this morning, Putin talked in Russian television. I try watching a little bit of everything. I watch CNN, Fox, all the Western, the American and European news agencies, but also the other side, which it's a good way so as to see both sides of the story, or at the very least see what the other side is thinking. And Putin talked for about an hour and a half, and I mean the guy just he's very, very focused. He doesn't even have any bit of doubt in his voice. He wasn't reading any script. He was just answering questions left and right, and he was so relaxed during the entire press conference. The guy he wasn't laughing out loud, because he rarely does that. He always has that same KGB assassin look on him, but he was obviously relaxed and extremely sure of what he had done and such. I've seen people more nervous giving an exam than this guy was after invading a country. That says a lot. That says that he got what he wanted. He just got away with what he wanted in a matter of hours. On the other side, you have the President of the United States not looking very good, not looking very strong, and he's outclassed by all means. Russia didn't do this all of a sudden without thinking. Russia knew who he had on his side, which allies he could be counted on, and anything that could be done by Europe or the United States at this moment will not be outside of the casualties, the political casualties, the economic casualties Russia would have been expecting in the first place. Russia, did this absolutely knowing that they probably have China has their backs without any problem, and Vladimir Putin already got what he wanted. He has Crimea. He managed to take control of that without killing a single person, without spilling a drop of blood, which is amazing. Just it so obviously shows that this was extremely well executed, and shouldn't be much of a surprise because he already did it before. I think it was in 2008 with Georgia. So, in that case, it was not as cool as in this one. But Vladimir Putin gets away with the things he wants, and he does that for some reason. It's not just coincidence that he does these things. Now, you may be talking about right now, military action is already out of the table. U.S. is not going to be attacking Russia, probably because Russia and China together against U.S. or against U.S. and Europe still wouldn't be a pretty picture. Europe especially doesn't have much of an interest in doing that, because they would be the first ones getting hit. It would be awfully bad for them. So when you see the American president talking about economic sanctions and such, Obama is kind of forgetting that Europe depends a lot on Russia. It's easy to talk about economic sanctions when you don't depend on Russia yourself. Europe has 1/3 of their energy needs is covered by Russia. So what could they possibly do that Vladimir Putin couldn't just pick up a phone and say, you know what, I'm cutting your power right now? What kind of sanction would you do? They're talking about the Russian currency losing value. It's not going to be losing much more than that. It's already going up. So this was all pretty much planned ahead of time, way before all this happened. And what is it that's going to be happening as of right now? Seems that the most likely scenarios are either these ones. Either Ukraine splits between the western and an eastern region, which would be one for the European side and the eastern one for the Russian side. And either that, or Vladimir Putin this morning, he kind of hinted a little bit of a democratic a government being elected, and he would be okay with that. That makes you think that maybe he already knows that whatever it is that comes into power right now, he was first insisting that the previous guy, Viktor Yanukovych, the president of Ukraine that was kicked out, that he has no political future anymore. So he's obviously expecting someone else to replace him, and he's saying that depending on who it is, it may be welcomed by Russia or not. So that gives you an idea that maybe it's not as if Ukraine separates in two parts, one pro-Russian, one pro-European, but it's gonna be maybe ending up with a president and a political and a government that is more center, not too far left-leaning, not too much right-leaning, but a kind of center pro-Russian government, at least, maybe not so obviously, and maybe a little bit more careful of the way in which it shows its authoritarian side, which Viktor Yanukovych was obviously not good at. He was obviously an authoritarian, and he wasn't good at even hiding that, which is kind of important. So probably it's going to be ending up with a pro-Russian government that is slightly authoritarian, pro-Russian in terms of the decisions, and at least on the outside, on the looks, leaving Europe happy, at least somewhat as well. That's probably what's going to be ending up happening. Now, the problem is that the United States has looked awfully weak with all this. It's basically like in your face kind of disrespect, kind of, look, I do whatever it is that I want, and you cannot do a damn thing about it. The day after, not even the day after, hours after Putin talked with Obama, and he said he wasn't going to be, Obama asked him not to invade Ukraine. Just hours after that, Vladimir Putin had troops on the ground and had taken control of Crimea. And he won without killing anyone, the most important target that he was going for, with a key strategic naval base in his control already. So, is it likely that things could get much worse? I mean, there's really no good outcome out of this. It's basically going to be either bad, it's going to be either very bad or slightly bad in terms of how it's going to be ending up for Europe. Europe already lost Ukraine. Even if you have a democratically elected blah blah blah, it's going to be one that is going to be understanding of the delicate situation, and it's going to be understanding that they cannot mess with Russia because they're going to be invading them if they don't play along, and no one's going to be doing a damn thing about it. Not even military, not even economically, because any sanctions that you could think of, U.S. could talk about doing many of those, but what kind of sanction could Europe do to Russia when they need it for 1/3 of their energy needs? In UK, they're not going to be messing with the Russians either. The massive fortunes that United Kingdom needs and depends on come from Russia as well. So no one in Europe is going to be messing with Russia in that degree. So that's basically how it's going to be ending up with. Basically, Russia getting away with what they were intending for in the first place. Building that bigger Russia that Vladimir Putin has been talking about and is obviously wanting. One of the things that's surprising me a little bit, watching Russian television is how similar some of the words used by the Russian television and some of the things said in Argentina not that long ago, and even right now. I was watching this morning, and they were saying that the illegitimate government has placed oligarchs as ministers in the government and such. And in Argentina, they say that that's the same exact thing, that the opposition in Argentina, they are all oligarchs. Oligarchs as a rich, right-leaning people. And it's actually in their booklets. In Argentina, they spread among the party members of the official Kirchner government in Argentina. They spread little booklets with answers to some of the most common questions, some of the most common criticisms. So, for example, if someone asks you, why is the Kirchner government so damn corrupt, and why are they stealing so much, your answer, they have it written down actually, has to be, those are lies spread by the oligarch press and media groups, the multimedia oligarch corporations that are right-leaning. So those are key words: oligarch, rights, the capitalists. Those are all key words used by these lefty communist kind of governments, which is kind of interesting to notice. So nothing more beyond that. Just on the positive side of things, it's pretty clear that Russia already got what they were going for. So either with a divided Ukraine, or maybe the lady from the opposition, Yulia Tymoshenko, I think she's. Maybe she would have a little bit of a change of attitude, and if she gets elected, then things end up working out as well. But whatever it is, it's definitely a loss for the United States in terms of image and of power. It's looking very, very weak right now. So, thinking of a worst case scenario, let's suppose that for a minute, it's that either the United States does something maybe a little bit stupid so as to show that they still have force. Hopefully they won't go for that, but Obama ended up looking pretty bad with all this stuff. So that's always a possibility. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But again, it's kind of a lose-lose situation, because the United States looking as weak in terms of their foreign policy as they look right now. They could either do something which could just escalate the level of violence, which hopefully they won't do it. They just could keep talking about these economic sanctions, which it's kind of like doing nothing, because Europe's not going to be going for that. Or they just could do nothing at all, or these economic sanctions that don't matter much. And the problem with that is that when looking weak, the others start picking on you. When you end up looking weak, they say, okay, if Russia got away with doing that, I'm going to be trying to do it as well. I'll try doing my own thing as well. So there's the risk of other countries losing respect to the United States, which is probably happening as of right now. At least losing respect in terms of staying in line, fearing the consequences of not doing so. Folks, that's all for now. Take care, have a great day, and as always, see you on our next video.